Hey there, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar titled Reaching B2B Audiences in the World of Hybrid Work. My name is Claudia Tarico, and I'm the editor of Demand Gen Report, and I will be your moderator for this presentation. So thank you all so much for joining us today. I'm just going to run through a few housekeeping slides to make sure everyone is aware of all the fun different things we have in store for this webinar, and then I'm going to pass it over to our speaker. So first up, if you are new to Demand Gen Report, welcome. We are an online media company publishing everything from daily news, a weekly email newsletter, special reports, original research, and a rich menu of additional resources. So if you haven't done so already, join more than 75,000 subscribers to our weekly newsletter by checking out demandgenreport.com today. And then, of course, connect with us on social media, share your thoughts, share your feedback, or just come and say hi. We're on Twitter and LinkedIn, and all of our links and handles are right here on your screen. I also want to take a moment to kind of let you in on a little secret. If you don't know by now, our B2B MX podcast actually revisits some of the best sessions from our B2B MX and B2B SMX events. So if you couldn't make those events for whatever reason, you actually get a chance to hear some of the top presentations from the events really anywhere you'd like. I actually co-host the podcast with my colleague Kelly. So that's where you'll find the replays of those sessions. We even have original interviews. So check it out on any podcast player of your choice. We're actually going to be kicking off our new season next month. So be sure to subscribe and don't miss our first episode. All right, so for this presentation, we're going to be using the On24 platform. And during the session, you could access pretty much everything you need from this toolbar that we have mapped out on the slide right here. So first things first, we encourage you to ask our presenter questions today. To do so, simply click the Q&A widget at the top right corner of the screen. The session is slated to run about 20 to 30 minutes with a few extra minutes of Q&A following the session. So submit those questions at any time. And then just so you know, if we don't get to your question live today, don't worry. We will definitely follow up with answers, whether in the chat or via email after we get off the air. We also welcome you to let us know how we're doing. So we've put together a very brief survey that will automatically launch once the session ends. But if you can't wait until then, you could pull up, complete, and submit the survey at any time during the presentation by clicking on the survey icon at the bottom of your screen. It's a little pink icon that we have circled on the slide at the bottom, so you can't miss it. So before signing off today, please take a moment to fill out this quick questionnaire so we could continue to enhance our events to your liking. Finally, the session is being recorded and all attendees will receive an archive link to the presentation to go back and review and share with colleagues. All right, well, now I'm so excited to introduce our featured speaker for today, Jon Zucker, Senior Product Marketing Manager at MNTN. Jon is responsible for keeping a close eye on industry trends and empowering marketers to achieve their goals using the latest innovations in CTV. Prior to joining MNTN, Jon oversaw product marketing at Zephyr, the leading end-to-end brand suitability platform built for walled gardens, and he even spearheaded digital media strategy for brands like Disney and Constellation Beer. So, Jon, it's so great to have you with us today. I'm really looking forward to this session. So with that, I'm going to pass things over to you to get things started and share some of the key takeaways of the session. All yours.
Thanks, Claudia. So if there's one thing I hope that people watching today take away from this conversation, it's this. The way that B2B audiences watch TV and engage with media is changing. In the world of hybrid work, people are spending half their time or more at home. And with the right technology and attribution, B2B marketers can now use our new working style to their advantage and finally leverage connected TV as a measurable demand gen tool. Those who do are going to see their budgets go a lot further than those who don't. And so in today's agenda, we're going to cover 4 topics. The first is how connected TV can really become that third pillar of every B2B marketer's performance marketing strategy. Second, we're going to talk about cross-device attribution and how B2B marketers can use that, and especially in today's work from home working style. The third is we'll go through a week in the life of a B2B prospect. And then finally, we'll talk about how connected TV can help you improve your paid search, social, and email marketing campaigns. So over the past 2 years, connected TV has really become a scalable demand gen channel for B2B marketers. Linear TV was missing some key features, and that obviously made it an ineffective channel for a lot of B2B advertisers. But CTV has come in and solved a lot of those problems. The two biggest ones are precise targeting and the other is measurement. So with connected TV, unlike linear TV, you can target your B2B buyer by their title, by their company size, the specific industries they're working in. You can use your CRM lists and more. So not a single impression is wasted. And then the second is measurement. So Mountain specifically offers proprietary cross-device measurement that allows you to track when people watch your CTV ads and then visit your site and convert specifically because of those ad exposures. So our attribution comes with checks and balances in place to make sure the CTV is only credited for site traffic it actually drove, but more on that later. So in addition to targeting and measurement, CTV is just more affordable and certainly more efficient than linear, making it a lot more accessible for B2B advertisers. So with that precise targeting, real-time measurement, and a platform that optimizes towards demand gen goals, you'll know that your commercials are engaging the right B2B buyer. In turn, you'll drive more efficient site traffic and acquisitions. And when accounting for the resulting sales, that means a better return on ad spend for your entire company. Now, historically, there's always been a limited number of ways that B2B companies can market themselves. It's always been a lot easier and more fun, frankly, to be a B2C marketer. But with the right technology, B2B marketers can now leverage television and automatically differentiate themselves from their competitors and start playing in some spaces that were traditionally only held for B2C marketers. Now, one thing to keep in mind is not all CTV partners are built to accomplish the same goals. With the right platform, connected TV can really become that third pillar of your demand gen strategy. Now, a big piece of that is attribution. Not all platforms are built to accurately attribute the site traffic and conversions that CTV generates. While attribution is easy for traditional clickable channels like paid search and social, TV isn't clickable. However, that doesn't mean it's not attributable. That's where cross-device attribution comes in. TV watchers use multiple devices to interact with a brand, often at the same time. And 87% of TV viewers watch with a secondary device in hand, especially in the world of working remotely. Now, at Mountain, we've developed a proprietary attribution model called cross-device verified visits, and that helps brands understand the true impact of their CTV ad buys. So let's just define verified visit really quick. A verified visit is a site visit directly driven by your Mountain ad that occurs within an attribution window of time. So let's walk through how verified visits are measured and what's uniquely valuable about that measurement for B2B marketers. The process is simple and purposefully transparent. Step 1, a user views your Mountain ad. Step 2, the user visits your site organically or directly on any device in their household within an attribution window of time that you define, so say 14 days. Now, it's really important that we talk about visiting your site organically or directly because we validate the source of the site traffic to make sure that CTV is only taking credit for actions that it actually drove. If someone watches your TV ad and then visits your site directly, that's a verified visit. But if they watch your TV ad, then see your Facebook ad, click it, and visit your site, Mountain wouldn't take credit for that visit because CTV didn't actually drive it. By only taking credit where credit's due, you can accurately measure the impact of connected TV side by side with your other demand gen channels and make better decisions about how you spend your budgets across all of your channels. So when a verified visit does occur, you finally reach step 3. When a user converts afterwards within your conversion window, we count that as a conversion within our reporting. Or you can measure your conversions directly in Google Analytics and apply your own conversion methodologies in there. So that's pretty cool. You can measure the outcomes driven by television directly in Google Analytics alongside paid search, social, email marketing, and any of your other channels that you're activating. Now, we know that measuring site traffic is always important, but for B2B marketers, it's especially important to get in front of your prospects early. According to the Harvard Business Review, 90% of B2B decision makers purchase from companies they already knew at the start of the buying process. That's why top B2B marketers use connected TV to educate their prospects with non-skippable messaging on TV and then drive site visits early so they can secure those placements in those initial consideration sets. The result is more demand generated and ultimately more new business. Now, a quick aside, connected TV is effective on its own. We've done our own studies on that and we've seen it time and time again. But we also know that since your prospect is ultimately visiting your site on a secondary device, it's valuable to follow your CTV messaging with messaging on those secondary devices to drive even more of your prospects to take action. That's why, for example, Mountain offers multi-touch ads, which allows marketers to extend their CTV campaigns beyond TV to secondary devices. We've seen that advertisers who use this strategy achieve 10 times stronger performance on average than their counterparts who don't. So now that you have a background on how connected TV can help you elevate your demand gen strategies, let's take a look at that day in the life or week in the life of your prospect. So a lot of B2B advertisers still think of their targets as wearing suits every day, going to the office every day. However, a B2B buyer is just like anyone else. They may be working from home or in a hybrid situation, but they're probably watching a lot of TV just like we all do. So let's walk through an example of a week in their lives and see kind of what the decision maker does every single day and how you can have an influence over their actions using connected TV. So on Monday, our B2B prospect, let's call him Tim, is working from home with no suit in sight. He has the TV on while he's working, and he sees a commercial for Mountain that piques his interest before he gets back to work. On Tuesday, Tim's still at home. He opens his work laptop to see a multi-touch ad for Mountain on CNBC's website. It reminds them he was interested in checking out what Mountain can offer. He makes a note to look into it at a later date. By Wednesday, Tim is in the office. He's living his best hybrid life. He spent some time researching how Mountain can help him achieve his business initiatives now that he's at his desk. On Thursday, he has his weekly team meeting, so he heads back into the office to meet with his coworkers in person. During that time, he presents his findings on Mountain's capabilities. He's able to talk about it live with his coworkers, and they decide to finally reach out and book a demo. By Friday, he's back in his sweatpants. He's working from home. He logs off early and turns on the TV, where he may be targeted with another B2B ad that will help him succeed in his role next week. As far as creative goes, one thing that there's a common misconception is it's a really tough barrier for entry for B2B marketers, but that's just not true anymore. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you already have social video ads, a lot of those can be repurposed for your CTV campaigns. And if you don't have video creative available, there are really high quality, low cost solutions that don't break the bank and don't require engaging a full creative agency, such as QuickFrame, which is the leading platform marketers use to efficiently build video creatives. Feel free to reach out. We're happy to send some more information along about how you can get involved and learn a bit more about your creative options. One last piece for today before we get into some questions is really talking about this halo effect that connected TV can have on your other paid marketing channels if you're trying to generate demand as a B2B marketer. So we've looked at our own first-party data, and we've seen that as advertisers add connected TV to their marketing mix, all of their other paid channels benefit and are more effectively drive demand. So we looked at 90 days before an advertiser added CTV into their mix, 30 days after, and 90 days after. And we found that the impact was pretty consistent. So for paid search, 90 days after adding CTV to their mix, on average, paid search went up by 22.27% in their conversion rates. So you're converting 22.27% more people just by having connected TV add your messaging in. Paid social saw conversion rates increase by almost 9%, and email was over 37%. All of this makes sense when you think about it. More people are engaging with these other channels, and by the time they do, they've already engaged with your non-skippable TV commercial. So you don't need to educate them in that scroll first or text first environment. These channels can now more effectively do the lifting they were designed to do with that first assist of connected TV, really doing a lot of that education up front. So these are the 4 things that we talked about today, today's main takeaways. The way that people watch TV is changing, including B2B target audiences. And so B2B marketers should take advantage of this. Connected TV can now enable you to take advantage of that shift and provide advertisers with the targeting and measurement capabilities that linear just couldn't back in the day. 2, while TV isn't clickable, cross-device attribution allows B2B marketers to use connected TV as a demand gen channel and track key performance metrics driven on secondary devices. The 3rd point is the typical B2B target isn't just a suit behind a desk. They're probably somebody who works in a hybrid scenario or even works from remote full-time. This is fantastic for the modern B2B marketer because now CTV is a great way to reach them and generate demand. And then finally, advertisers who add CTV to their performance strategy are going to benefit from a halo effect around paid search, social, and email, which obviously are huge for B2B marketing and always will continue to be huge for B2B marketing. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and looking forward to continuing the discussion with some questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Jon. Really, really awesome stuff. I personally love the topic of just out of home and CTV advertising. And I've noticed it a lot more lately too. Even when I'm watching TV myself, I'm just like, oh, okay, B2B is going some places now. So it's really, really cool. And it's definitely a memorable way to engage with your audiences. So really cool stuff. And of course, we got some really good questions. People are interested in all of this. So I'm going to move the slide over here for our audience Q&A. Like I mentioned earlier, everyone, if we don't get to your questions live, don't worry. We will follow up with answers once we go off air. And then just as a quick reminder, before I go through the questions, I just want to remind everyone once again to share your thoughts and feedback with us before logging off today. That survey is going to launch as soon as the session ends, or you could click that survey button and fill it out right away while we're answering questions. So, all right, Jon, you ready for the first one?
Let's do it.
All right. First one. Would a B2B prospect have to be watching TV during work hours to see a CTV ad directed at them? I might have spoiled this one a little bit too, but go ahead and answer.
No. It's spoilers are welcome here. The answer is no. With targeting on CTV, you're always going to make sure that you're targeting the right audience. So you're picking your segments, you're picking out your buyer, you're designing your audience to make sure you're reaching the right household. And then you're reaching them whenever they're watching premium television channels. So when they're watching ESPN, they're watching CNBC, they're watching, ABC, whatever they're interested in. And that could be during their work hours, it could be after their work hours. But you just know that it's most important that you're reaching the right person with the right message when they're leaned in and they're ready to watch something that is a bit more long form. So there's more flexibility there while also being very, very targeted.
Awesome. All right. Second question. Why do you think CTV creates a halo effect for other marketing channels?
That's a good question. I think it's honestly just going back to that point I made earlier about how certain channels are just designed to do different lifting, right? So when you're on Instagram, for example, or you're on TikTok or you're on any channel that is primarily scroll first and it's mobile heavy, people don't sit there and learn about your product, as often as leaned in as they would on television. It's a scroll first environment. They're moving very quickly throughout it. It's tough to get 15 seconds, 30 seconds of undivided attention. Paid search, you're getting, you're kind of a small amount of text and you're only reaching hand raisers who are already actively looking for your product or your immediate competitors and those kind of keywords. And even email, it's somebody might know generally who you are, but they might have been added to a list. They might not be super well versed in your actual offering. So when you have somebody see your TV ad first, they're getting 15, 30 seconds of your brand's narrative. What makes you unique? What do you bring to the table that's going to help them out? and it gives them a chance to really become educated in your offering. Once they have that immediate education, all of these other channels just have to remind them of that education, and the people will click through. So you're letting the channels lift the way that they were designed to lift, and really giving them that assist that will drive your user down the funnel.
Cool. All right. Next question. How are the secondary devices identified for cross-device attribution?
That's a great question. So Mountain specifically has built a proprietary identification graph. So we're able to use a variety of different signals. We can use IP address, device IDs, behavioral signals, and more to understand all of the devices within 120 million connected households. And so we can say, okay, these 20 devices are all in household A. So when somebody watches your CTV ad, we know that that connected TV is in your household, and then they visit your site on their phone, we also know that that phone is in your household. And so knowing that those are connected allows us to see the A to B, cause and effect relationship. That's the short of it, without getting too dorky about it.
All right, next question. At what point should I use CTV during my prospect buying cycle?
That's a great question. So the real answer is you should try to get in front of them as soon as humanly possible. I think the thing that I keep coming back to is that 90% number. So 90% of the companies that somebody buys from, they knew at the start of the buying process. So they need to know who you are before they even start putting together their formal consideration set and their formal list. And honestly, before they even send an RFP, if that's part of their process. So trying to reach your buyer as early as possible and get them educated and drive them to your site to really engage and learn, you can't get there soon enough. So if they're doing that by the time they've already built that consideration set, you've already kind of chopped yourself to the knees. You now have a 1 in 10 shot versus a 9 in 10 shot of being considered. That said, having them visit your site and learn more is great early. And then with connected TV, you can now retarget them on television so that you reach them early in the buying cycle, and then you follow them throughout their consideration set, their consideration phase. And so you can really hopefully be in that final 1, 2, and then, sell at the end of the day.
Awesome. All right. Got a couple more here. How can I ensure that I don't double count my efforts on other channels like paid search, social, and email?
That is the perennial question. And that's really where I think Mountain the attribution is built and to answer that need. So I used to work on the other side of the table. I used to be working in performance marketing in my own right before I moved over to working here at Mountain. And one thing that I always struggled with was view through attribution. So people are saying like, oh, okay, I watched my ad on some video platform and then I converted 29 days later in a 30-day conversion window. And so that must have been because of that video, right? When realistically, like I might have watched your ad, I might have clicked through an email that you sent me, I might have clicked through a Facebook ad that you sent me, I might have gone on paid social and clicked through that. And that's really what brought me there. And so traditional view through says, oh no, TV still gets that attribution credit, even though that wasn't it. What Mountain does that's unique and what I think is important is they do validate the source that is eventually driving that site traffic. So if somebody watches your TV ad and then they click on the Facebook ad, that brings them there, that's not counted as a verified visit. That site traffic wasn't driven by CTV. But if they do watch the ad and then they drive to the site directly, that does count. I think this is really important because when you have duplicated credit, it's really hard to understand what's real and what channels are driving performance. And if you can't understand what channels are driving performance, you don't know where to spend your money most effectively to get the most bang for your buck. And so with Mountain, we really wanted to create a scenario where you can have these separations, you can understand where people are coming from so that you can spend more on social if that's what's necessary. And you can spend more on CTV if that's what's necessary. You can balance your budgets to really get the most out of every dollar that you spend.
Awesome. We love to hear it. More bang for your buck.
Right.
All right. I think we have time for one more. Yeah, we have one good one here. What kind of creative do I need to make if I plan to use Mountain multi-touch?
Another really good question. So you'll come to the platform, and obviously you're going to be building some semblance of a TV ad. Whether you're coming directly, we're working with QuickFrame by Mountain to make a really efficient ad yourself. You're recreating something based off your social video. These multi-touch ads are going to be ads that are playing directly on the open web and on websites there. So they could be animated, they could be GIFs, they could be statics. There are a variety of different ways that they could appear. That said, Mountain specifically has a built-in ad builder directly in the platform where you can just upload different pieces of your assets, logos, copy, what have you, and it'll automatically build all of the different assets that you need to activate this multi-touch messaging. There are pre-built templates. You can customize them as much as you'd like, and it makes it really, really simple and seamless to extend that messaging, but keep the same brand voice.
Very interesting. And I have a kind of like a side question for you. When it comes to the length of these ads, what do you see as most successful?
That's a great question. So when you're talking about television, it's really just non-skippable 15s and 30s. And so it's just depending on who you're reaching. If you have a longer brand narrative, use the full 30. You have the spot. It's going to be non-skippable. People are watching it. If you feel like you can get your products message out in 15 seconds, use it. And obviously what we mostly recommend is do a version of 1 and 2 and A/B test. See which one is driving the best performance. That's when you end up going more budget towards. For the multi-touch ads, there's just a bunch of different ways you can play around with it. We see some people who are just extending the same messaging. We see some people use multi-touch as a way to add in a sale or highlight something a bit more urgent. Highlight some seasonal offer for Mother's Day if you're a jewelry brand, or you're a flower brand, or you're another brand that has some sort of tech brand. There's this one company, not even a company, it's a very well-known brand, the Atlanta Hawks. They do a really cool thing where they'll drive this really awesome, super high energy TV ad, and then they'll follow up their multi-touch ads with the actual game that's coming up next. So it's like, it gets you really excited, and then it gives you a direct, urgent point of like, hey, come to the game on Thursday against the Grizzlies. And that's helped them a ton. I think last I checked, they drove a 7x return on ad spend just with that alone. And B2B marketers are doing a very simple and similar approach with their type of advertising.
Awesome. Very cool stuff. All right, I'm going to cap the Q&A right here. So thank you all so much for all of those submissions, but keep them coming as we kind of close out. We will follow up with answers to all your questions via email if we didn't get to them today. So with that, that is a wrap on today's presentation. Thanks again to Jon for such a great session, super informative. And thank you all so much for joining us today. We will have this session ready for on-demand viewing almost instantly. So check your inboxes, or you could use the link that you see here on the slide. So like I said, that's a wrap. Thank you again, everyone, and take care.
Thank you.